Minds collide. You're ready for the hustle. Hear the echoes of pride from the sea where the dreams are built.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Elite Real Estate Podcast. Very excited for another episode here today with a very special guest coming on with me. And let's bring her in. It's Gogo Bethke. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
I am beautiful. Now that you're here, I'm even better. We'll give you the applause. There.
I heard your name in that song. That was really cool.
You know, the AI stuff's crazy, right?
Oh, you did that with AI?
All AI, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I need one of those.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. It was
amazing.
It was amazing. You just kind of put in what you want. And you see the signs behind me. So one is like, take the risk, never look back, and no pressure, no diamonds. So these are all mentioned in there.
No way. I just heard Jimmy Nelson. I was like, oh, no way. That's a song for you. Hopefully makeup is not required because I don't do makeup on Mondays.
Nope. I didn't do makeup today either.
Okay, great then.
Yeah. No makeup Monday. That's what we'll call it.
I know. I wake up after the weekend and I have a full day. Mondays are like my meeting day. So all of my companies get 1 hour, half an hour, depending how much time the company requires. So if I want to put makeup on and stuff, then I have to wake up earlier. And I didn't know I had a podcast today until like noon. So, I don't have makeup on. But I'm just as smart with or without makeup.
This is true. And you don't even need it. That's the other thing.
Oh, thank you. Very kind.
Yeah. And no, Dwayne did not pay me to say that. So how are things with you? What's going on? And what's happening in the newest world of Gogo?
Oh gosh, where do we start? So as Veronica Figueroa would say, different levels, different devils. I learned this one from her. I feel like we don't know what we don't know until we know it. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know anything about that. And then you go down on that alley. And then you figure out something else and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that existed. And you go down on that alley. So I feel like the learning never stops. My current phase, though, in my current phase of life and business, I feel like I have been chasing the next level, which I'm never going to stop chasing the next level. But I used to chase the next level on monetary levels in the past. And I feel like the new next level is going to be more on a spiritual journey.
Oh, I love that. So
that's where my 2025 is heading, into a little bit more solitude and a little bit more enjoying the fruit of our labor that we worked so hard for, and a few more trips and less work.
Well, that's the dream, right? That's the American dream, right? A little more trips, less work,
yeah.
But still the revenue that has to come in, right?
Yeah, but I feel like in the last few years, especially the last 6 years, right after joining EXP. So when I joined EXP, I told my husband, I'm like, give me 3 years. I've worked like a mad woman, so we'll never have to work again. And that 3 years just hit 6. Really bad with math.
It's a 3-year plan that's gone 6.
The 3-year plan that took 6 years to build.
Right, that took 6 years to build. But to be honest, though, that's interesting, and that's something that people need to hear, right? Because a lot of people, especially in the real estate business, right? They'll see a Gogo, right? And I want to do what she did, right? And they think it's an overnight success, right?
It is 6 years worth of overnight, yes.
Yeah. I mean, it was 6 years, right, of just EXP. That's not even counting the years before that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I built a TV show, a podcast, 2 boot camps, an organization like Team Gogo. I just got the numbers year to date. We did $2.5 billion.
Oh my goodness.
Year to date. Like, that's insane. And we still have the month of November and December because, usually we are 1 month behind. So we'll probably close the year close to like $3 billion in a year. And this is one of the shittiest years in real estate.
Yeah.
Like, this is worse than 1996, worse than 2008, and worse than 1996, right? So it's like, I think like I can be like, okay, if we can do $3 billion in a shitty year in one of the arms of my businesses, right, then I deserve a year off.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just read a stat, and I wish I could remember where it came from, but they said this was the worst year in real estate in 35 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Incredible, right? And you guys, are you 3 billion.
Yeah, we are talking. Yeah, exactly. My point, right? So every Monday, I do meetings for each of my businesses, and one of them, of course, is the Team Gogo organization. Even though Team Gogo, it doesn't necessarily is a standalone business, it's a part of my Gogo's real estate business, right? But it's a revenue generating side or leg or arm or whatever you call it. So it has its own meaning. So we were talking about the year, and I was like, well, let me actually just look at the numbers. How often do we get the numbers from corporate and yada yada? We went down that path, and I opened up my dashboard, and we are at 2.5 billion year to date, and I'm thinking it wasn't that shitty.
No.
If we can do 2.5 billion in the worst time of real estate, right? Then I think when the good times come around, we're going to be printing money.
Here's the amazing thing. If we can learn anything, we learn it from media, right? And what the media portrays and points us in the wrong direction all the time for like our mental state of being positive all the time. If we just listen to the negative stuff, it's like, this has been the worst year in 35 years and everything's horrible. But if there's some realtors I've talked to, this is the best year they've ever had.
Yeah. And also, if my worst year is 2.5 billion in production in the Team Gogo organization, I'm fine.
Yeah. I'm okay. Worst year ever. Great. I'll take 2.5 billion.
Yeah. We are, right? Like, this is
right.
the team. I didn't pull those numbers. Team Gogo did, right? Our organization did together. So I think if this was our worst year, then we're looking pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I can't argue with that. It's very good logic. You got 2 months left, and if you'll probably hit 3, which is crazy in a down year.
Yeah.
But they're calling a down year, right? It's just sales have slowed, and it is what it is. It's market conditions. This was the first year I can remember like the election actually having an effect on the market, though. I
know, right? We always joked and say, "Oh, it's an election year," but this year was an election year.
This year was an election year, so it definitely
did. Was like the epiphany of election years, and I think it's gonna have like its picture. It's gonna be like 20, like in the vocabulary, election year 2024.
I think you're right. I think this will be one of those ones that we will remember for a long time.
Yeah.
I think this is one we remember for a long time.
I mean, I don't know if I'm getting old or it was that good of an election, but I stayed up.
Oh yeah.
I stayed up until like 3:30 until it was like official. I was like, oh, I'm old.
Yeah, and it is rare because like the older you get. Now I'm 51, so like I'm staying up, and I'm like the last few elections I've started really like diving in and paying attention. I'm that crotchety old man that wants to stay up late and watch the election results.
I stayed up and watched the whole thing. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm getting so old so fast.
Oh, amazing. So, well, so those are your numbers coming out from Team Gogo. What is like, how are you guys wrapping up 2024? Like, what is your plans to wrap everything up and put a nice bow on this amazing year you've had?
So that's such a loaded question. I'm going to share some numbers with you because I wrote them down today. Just because I was kind of like, tracking it. We sent 4.441, so almost 5 million emails year to date.
Oh my goodness.
That's crazy, right? And I don't have a massive database. I have about 17,000 active email addresses, but my emails get opened in a very high opening rate, an average of 43%, sometimes up into the 60s, sometimes down in the 30s, but an average of 43%. So 2 million emails get opened. So I'm like, that's insane, right? Yeah. So if any of those people just spend as much as $1 with me that in a year, right, that's potentially $2 million of income. The reason why I'm mentioning it is because so many people don't use their email. And email is where, not for multiple reasons. You have to use email for multiple reasons. If number one, you don't own your social media, but you own your email database. Nobody can take that away from you, right? But if you think about it, one day you could wake up and your social media that you built for 12 years is poof gone. They don't own it. The Facebooks of the world do, right? So I think email is super important. Also, many people actually enjoy and they do read their emails, right? It's like a newspaper. You kind of open it up and see what the Wall Street Journal messaged you today, right? And so I would strongly recommend, if you haven't been doing emails, you definitely have to start looking at it and using the platform, right? And use it for your own benefit and growing your database and collecting that information. So God forbid, one day your social media doesn't exist anymore, you still have your database. And then also like growing a podcast, like you and me were talking just before the call of how easy or hard things are, but people looking in, outsiders looking in, and it looks like it's so easy, right? No, it's not. Like, I don't want to say I'm Gogo Bethke, but I'm Gogo Bethke, and I only had 4,791 downloads on my podcast this year. I don't like that number.
I know.
But by tracking it, right? By tracking it, I'm like, okay, we are clearly not blowing people's mind or with the content or what we release or how long the episodes are or what platform we release it on or what time of the day or how often we release it. Something is not mathing. But I wouldn't know that unless I tracked it, right? But
Right.
was I born, like when I popped out in Transylvania in 1981 of my mom's woohoo, was I like, well, I grew up, I'm going to be a podcaster. No, I have no idea what I'm doing. Right. And sometimes things work out and sometimes they don't work out. And I don't think, I mean, it's 5,000 downloads, 5,000 people. It's a lot of people if you look at it that way. But 5,000 people from my audiences, in my opinion, is very little people. So clearly we need to get better at that.
Comparatively, you have 17,000 people you're emailing. Right.
Why aren't they listening to my podcast?
Right. Why haven't they all listened? Why haven't they all downloaded your podcast?
That's what I'm wondering to myself. So that's one of the numbers.
So the next email you're going to send out is download my podcast.
Yeah, but then here's another number. And yes, please go follow Gogopreneur on any podcast of your choice, which we also are live on KGCI, just FYI. And then I don't know the KGCI number. So this is just my podcast numbers on Productize. And then, but on YouTube, Gogopreneur is doing great. We had 111,700 views. And overall, my Gogo Bethke YouTube account had 711,900 views. Almost 1 million people viewed my account in this year, like up until November, right? And we grew 7,200 subscribers on YouTube. So I like to run numbers. The reason why is because I know my hourly rate. And I like to understand where should I continue putting my time in. And if we are putting our time in, then is it working or not? Because I hate wasting time.
There's a couple of things I want to unpack with you on this because I love exactly where you're going. The one is the email, right? They're opening your email because there's value there.
I give a lot of value.
Yeah, there's value there because the people that struggle with emails, there's not much value inside of it. You
should see the ChatGPT 2025 marketing plan, like how to eat an elephant one bite at a time. I did a whole training on it in my GoGram community of how to reverse engineer a plan. Like, first of all, how to slow down, imagine what the heck you want. And then what is it going to take to get it done by a certain time, right? And then at the end, I gave this ChatGPT prompt that will literally customize your 2025 marketing and business plan in like seconds. Customized to who you are, how you want to conduct business, who your ideal client is, what you want to sell them, what's your ideal outcome, like what language you want to speak, what avenues you want to, is it Facebook Lives, is it YouTube, is it in-person events, is it, and it just goes pure and spells it right out for you. Will blow your mind. So if you are in my email database, you're going to get it today. Incredible. If you take nothing from me, take that one thing and blow your mind in 2025. So I give a lot of, I love technology, as you know, you and me were talking about earlier. And I do give a ton. So if anybody wants to get on my email list, they can follow me on Gogo's Real Estate on Instagram and comment email, I think. Or something like that.
Something like that.
And then you automatically get, or just download anything from me I ever mentioned and you'll get into my database, then you get my emails.
Yeah. And here's the other thing, right? Like, so providing value with the email, but again, like now the other thing to unpack is like tracking your numbers.
Oh.
And I find like so many real estate agents just miss the mark on that. Because like, I'll go, well, what's your average price point? Well, I don't know. Well, what's your average commission? I don't know. How do you want me to help you build a business plan if you don't even know like the basic two things, right? Like, what's your average sale price? What's your average commission? If you don't know, then how many houses do you need to sell? I don't know. I just need to sell another house.
What's your name? I don't know. Like, yes, exactly. Yeah. You can't grow something that you don't track.
Oh, well, that's the t-shirt ideas. You can't grow something you can't track. This is going to be a t-shirt. Maybe we'll work on that one. But these t-shirt ideas I keep having in my brain, I'm like, I just need to make these t-shirts up.
And I think sometimes it's not because they can't do math. It's not, I mean, it's calculating the average of something is the simplest thing on earth. It's not that you had to learn some formula that's only available for a handful of people on this earth. Like, no, if you made this much money and you divided by the amount of transactions that made you this much money, that's your average commission. Like, it is super freaking simple. I think most people just don't slow down to actually, I think there's so much in their head of like, I just need to make a commission. I just need to make a commission. Then they don't actually look backwards of, hold on, where did my other commissions come from? How much is a commission for me? Like, do I really need to make one commission or do you need to make 2 commissions? What is my average? How much money do you want to make? How many transactions is it going to take you? I don't know. Well, you can't make it unless you know what the heck you want.
Right. Right. So let me ask you this. Why you think people don't do it just because they don't take the time to do it?
That also, I think they think it's more complicated than it is. It's so simple. It's really not complicated. And third reason, I think they just don't want to look themselves in the mirror.
That's where I was gonna say, right? It's hard when you don't, you have to be honest with yourself, right? And we lie to ourselves more than we lie to anybody else. Is we lie to ourselves every day. I'm gonna go to the gym this morning. No, I'm really not going.
Not that bad.
Yeah, it's not that bad. I'm gonna eat better today. I'm gonna stop at McDonald's, right? Like, we lie to ourselves all the time, so it becomes easy to ourselves. And I think that's the reason that agents don't really do it, and it gets entrepreneurs in general, right? Is because you have to really look at them in the mirror and say, what did I do today? And did I move myself forward or did I not move myself anywhere today?
But in order to measure, did I move, you need to know where you're at. Most people don't even know where they're at. And
Right.
Most people also don't know where they're going. They're just on a treadmill. They're running. Oh my gosh, I'm so busy. They're running, but they're going nowhere.
Yeah. And it's true, right? That's the hard part is, like, again, look yourself in the mirror and say, I have to be really honest with myself. So I do an exercise with agents. We call it like the gap income, right? How much do I want to make? How much am I currently making? And what do I need to do in the middle to get to where I want to get to?
And how much time do I have?
Exactly. And how much time do I have to do it?
Yeah.
And so it's a great exercise, but you have to be honest with yourself on these numbers, right? Like and again, like when I say like what your survival number is, doesn't include like your Corvette. Like, you don't need a Corvette to survive. You need, that's not your survival number. Your survival number is just simple, like what my mortgage, like basic living expenses, right? Investment properties, those aren't survival numbers. Like, until you know exactly what your survival number is, then you can figure out where you want to go from there.
Yeah.
But it's just getting people clear on that. But again, not lying to themselves and saying that it's because we always want to think it looks better than it actually is. It's, and again, real estate agents, we're half of them I talk to, probably more than half. When I mention the word taxes, they're like, "What? We're 1099. We don't do taxes." I'm like, "Oh man, like, wow, that's gonna catch up to you sooner than later."
Someone actually say that?
Yeah, yep, I've had that said to me before.
Okay. Oops. That's gonna be a reality check.
I don't know if they're still in the business or not. I haven't talked to them in a while. But
that's hurt.
Oh man. So yeah, I think, all these things like tracking your numbers, putting your plans into place, all those things. What's your advice for agents rolling into 2025? Like, what's the forecast going to look like? Are we, we think it's going to get better. We're not sure. We're assuming it is, but how are you planning that? And how are you getting Team Gogo planning 2025?
Well, I think everyone needs to meet themselves where they at, right? Not all size fits all. This is not like a vaccine where we're giving the same amount for a 300-pound person and a 3-pound newbie, right? Like newborn baby, it does not fit all. Also, I think it's very important how you want to run business. One of my favorite saying is, that when you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. So I don't work. I get to do what I do and I get paid for it. Right. So what I mean by that is, do you really have to be up and on the 7:30 call every single morning on scripts and role play if you're never going to dial anyone? No, that would be a waste of your time. It's just on there to check it off to be like, well, I did that. Right. But it's not going to bring you any business. So the same when I got into real estate, people were telling me that I lost my ever loving mind when I was with the idea that I'm going to do it through the power of social media, right? Because nobody was doing it at the time. They didn't understand selfies and how is that ever going to make you money, right? This is back 13 years. So what I mean by that is that if there is something that is like just kind of eating away at you, like, oh, I should do that. Oh, I should do that. You know, that's there for a reason. That's your universe, your internal GPS, your guiding force, God, whatever you call it, is telling you what you're supposed to be doing, and it's nudging you, right? And if you don't listen to the pebbles, then God's going to throw a brick. So I like to listen to the pebbles, right? I listen to those are my guidance, right? I know that I'm guided and protected. So those are my guidance and I act on it. So if someone on the other end is trying to figure out what I mean by this, I would take a notebook and I would write down, what do you really enjoy doing about your job? And what portions of that actually makes you money? Because there are certain things that we enjoy doing, but it doesn't actually make us money. We do it because we love it. We don't care about the outcome. I'm going to do it even if nobody ever pays me anything, right? That's my social media. Yep. Even long after I'm no longer selling anything, I would still do social media. I just won't be selling anything, right? I love doing social media. It just happened to be also that is the avenue that I take to make the money, right? So what is that? So I want you to look at your 10 closings or 5 closings or however many closings you had. And I want you to take a look at and ask yourself these questions. Where did they come from? And what I mean by that, literally, how did the conversation get started? Did they Facebook message you? Did they send you an email? Did you run into somebody at the grocery store? Is it your yoga studio? Is it an open house? Is it a Zillow lead? Where did they come from? Literally. How did the conversation get started? Literally. Not like, oh, somewhere from my Instagram. Okay. What was it, a live that you did on that was a specific property that they came from? Did they direct DM you? Did they come from a sign-up sheet for your buyer's page? Like, where directly did they come from? You will see that there's usually 2 things. So for me, it was always social media and open houses. But even my open house was from social media because I generated the people to the open house from my social media, right? But it was literally my social media and my open house, right? So I want you to figure that out, because the faster you can figure out what you're naturally good at, because the problem is when we are naturally good at something, we don't realize it because we just think everybody else has that talent because we have that talent, and we don't even realize you have the talent because it's just what we do.
You're leaving me speechless here. Like you're like, like you're leaving me speechless here. You keep these mic drop moments. Like,
so I want you to send a random text to 5 to 10 people that knows you best. And ask them, what am I good at? Don't give them a heads up. Don't do an intro text. I'm trying to do research. Like, none of that. You're just going to send the random text and say, what am I good at?
And then what? Then what? Then what do you do with that?
You're going to sit back and you're going to get these messages from your best friend and your cousin and your sister and your brother and your mom and dad and your husband and your wife and all of these people that are important to you in your life, and they truly know you. And you're going to read those messages and you're going to get 2 things out of it. You're going to be like, I did not know I'm really good at that, but I am good at that. Wow. It comes so natural. I don't even realize that I'm good at that. And then you're going to get the other portion of like, yeah, I know I'm good at that. But the reason why I want you to see that is because if you start spending your time and energy in the area of your life, then it feels like work. It is going to take you, I don't know. I have no idea what the percentage would be to actually be successful in that specific line of work instead of taking your time and energy in something that comes so natural. And that's where you need to stay. You need to stay in your lane.
Absolutely. And so, because here's the funny thing. So, as you know, coaching agents and talking to agents across the country, whatever, they'll bring up social media to me, right? They'll say, well, I want to do this with social media. And then I hit them back with the same question. What does that mean? I mean, you're just going to post some stuff and like throw some stuff out there, picture your dog or like selfies out in front of houses. Like, what does that mean? And when people will mention your name, I'm like, you realize that's a full-time job that she does. Like that is like most people can't keep up with what you do, and they don't realize it. Like they don't realize how much time and effort and energy goes into doing just this, right? Like getting scheduled with you. It's not easy, right? Like it's not just like, hey, I can show up tomorrow. Like I can't be there tomorrow. I got a whole bunch of other stuff I'm already doing. I need like a month out, right? So when I asked that, like, they'll say to me, so my question to you then is, when you first started this 13 years ago, what was it that kind of like started you to get the ball rolling? Like, what was the attractor to get people to make sure that you knew you were a real estate agent and they were getting deals from it that way?
Yeah, I mean, again, when you figure, we can do social media a million different ways. Like you can go lives, you can do new construction properties, you can do, buyers 101, you can do, specialize in lakefront properties, you can do giveaways, you can do, you name it. There's a million ways you can do social media. Again, just social media alone can be a full-time job in 10 different ways, depending how you want to use it. So that's why I want to say it's so important to figure out what are you naturally good at, and then figure out how that fits into your life, and then add that to your calendar. And if it's not in your calendar, it doesn't happen. I tell anyone anytime when they're complaining about where they are in life or in their calendar, I'm like, show me your calendar.
Yep.
I'm like, well, you show me your calendar, I show you your bank account. I'll show you my calendar at any given moment. I can tell you what I'm doing next year, December, this time. It is literally that scheduled. I do the same boring stuff over and over and over again. So as soon as you figure out what is that you're good at and it's actually making you money, you need to do more of that.
Got it.
And it's going to be in your calendar, rain or shine, dawn or dusk, whatever is in your calendar is what you're going to do. So if you realize that open houses and lives, like lives at open houses, is your best moneymaker, guess what you're going to be doing? Every Tuesday, you're going to tour a new construction. Every Thursday, you're going to tour a downtown condo. Every Saturday, you're going to tour a lakefront property. Every Sunday is going to be luxury. You're going to be going live from properties all the freaking time, because that's what's working for you, right? It's for you is mostly the buyer 101 that you do with your local lender, and then you market it to apartment buildings, and all of these people come and they get pre-qualified and then they buy properties from you. Then that's your thing. But I want you to look at the last 5. I want you to look at directly where did they come from. I want you to figure out what are you naturally good at. And I want you to schedule all of that in your calendar. And I'm going to take you one step further. And by schedule, it's not going to be like the first Tuesday at noon and then, well, that didn't work. I didn't get any leads from that, so I guess I'm done. I literally posted at least 25 times every single day for the last 13 years.
25 times a day.
Minimum. And that's only on Instagram. It gets taken from Instagram over to Facebook and Facebook groups, and then it gets taken over to LinkedIn, and then it gets taken over to you name it, and I'm pretty much everywhere. YouTube alone, we have 711,900 views year to date.
Right.
So I create the content on one platform, which is my Instagram, is my home.
Okay.
Social media. And then I have a team who takes it to the rest of them. If you don't have a team, you are the team. If you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant. That doesn't mean that you don't need to exist on all of these platforms. That means you're going to be up until midnight making sure that your content is everywhere if you decide to do social media. And then let's take it one step further. Now that you figure out what you're naturally good at, good doesn't cut it anymore. Good is average, maybe not even average, because a bunch of people are good at social media. You then have to become freaking phenomenal at it. In order to become phenomenal at it, you have to look yourself in the mirror and be like, well, I'm good at lives, but I really don't know how to take them off of the live and turn them into a client. I heard about this thing called ManyChat, where I can tell them just comment the word open and I'll send you the direct link. I wonder, how do people do that? What is this ManyChat thing? Oh, I'm going to go and check it out. So then you're going to go and figure out all of these different things to take yourself from good to phenomenal, outstanding. Because if you're good, you're as good as everybody else.
Yep.
When you're phenomenal, you stick out like a sore thumb. Everybody can find you, and everybody wants to work with you because you are the best at it. You don't have to negotiate commissions. They'll wait 2 weeks to get into your calendar. Like, that's phenomenal versus good and average. So number 2 thing I would do, after you figure out who you are, what you're good at, and what you need to do more of, is to figure out how to get phenomenal at that thing. So then I would start looking at who is already doing where you want to go. So if your goal for 2025 is building a local team, figure out who built a local team last 2 to 3 years, Also, not 20 years ago, because honey, that is like so like that water
Yep, that's gone. Yep.
long under the bridge. Okay, so if you're just starting now, compare yourself to somebody who just started building a team 2 or 3 years ago and they became number one, number two, top five. Here's one of my favorite sayings: don't ever ask a broke friend how to make $1 million. Okay, so don't ask your buddy who you got licensed at the same time, who does 7 deals a year and that's his best year, of like, hey, I want to start a team this year. How do you think I should do it?
Yeah, how's he gonna know?
He doesn't know.
Yeah.
If he would have known, he would have built one, but he didn't. So he's not the right person to ask. So then you're going to go follow the people who've been there where you want to go, but not been there. Like, okay, let's say you say 2025 is going to be your investment year. I'm not saying go follow Grant Cardone, because you can't go from chapter 1 to chapter 217 in 1 year. You can't.
Right.
If you sat down with Grant Cardone today and you never invested as much as $100 into fractionalized real estate, you can't possibly talk about how to invest billions of dollars. You could not even understand half of the things he's saying. So I want you to look at the people that are 2 steps ahead of you, but super successful, not because they started building a team, but they actually built a very successful one, if that's what you want to do. So whoever that you're chasing, whoever is 2 steps ahead, I want you to go study them. I want you to sign up for everything that they do for free. I want you to go 2018 deep on their social profiles. I want to go check out their website, their YouTube channel, anything that you can find about them. And when you exhausted anything that you can find for free about that person, then you're going to pay for their time. You can buy speed. You buy speed through other people. So you can do it this way. You can go spend the next 10 years, try to figure it out yourself, or you can go pay for someone's time, an hour of their time to learn the do's and the don'ts from the person who spent the last 10 years figuring it out.
Love that.
Okay, I learned this one a couple of days ago and it blew my mind. Let me read it to you how they said it. The what is free. The how is a fee.
Yes. I get it.
What you want to achieve in 2025, it's free, honey. A million people are going to tell you all of the different things that you could achieve in 2025. What they're not going to tell you is the how.
Right.
How is what we buy. So I'm huge on education. If I don't know something, I pay for a coach. I pay for the best in the industry, whatever they charge, because I want to learn from the best what to do, what not to do. Like last year, I had 2 coaches. I had an SEO coach, monthly thousands and thousands of dollars to get my websites, because what would be the point of building websites if they're not really easily to be found on Google, if they're not set up properly, if the links are not actually going to the right pages, if there's no backlinking to my website from other websites, right? All of the things that you need to know about SEO. And guess who I went to? The best.
The best SEO person.
The best SEO person. So I went to this Tony Robbins mastermind. There was 10 of us in the nation. They were the top 10 influencers in the nation. This guy, mind you, I did it through social media. This guy had 6 followers on Instagram. One of them was his mother. And he was in the top 5. And I'm like, Quincy, how the, no offense, but how the heck are you the top influencer in the nation with 6 followers?
Right.
Because he ranked his website better than Tony Robbins' website when we were selling Tony Robbins products in the first place. So TonyRobbins.com ranked worse than his website where he was selling Tony Robbins coaching.
Incredible.
That's how good he is. So I was like, okay, clearly you're my guy. So I hired him for 6 months because what could I go? Do I believe that I'm smart enough to go figure it out? Absolutely. Would it take me 30 years to figure out SEO? Probably. Do I want 30 years to be really good at it when I'm 70 years old? Probably not.
Right. The amazing part is too, and I had this conversation with Leo Perea, and Leo was talking about when he was back running his teams. He talked to like the top REO guy in the world or whatever. And so he spent $10,000 and went and hung out with the guy to learn it. And he flew back and shut that whole part of his team down. Said, I never want to do that. And I was at first I was like, wow, you wasted 10 grand. He goes, it actually saved me probably 200.
Oh, exactly. God knows how much it saved him by not running that business into the ground or having to fight closure, bankruptcy, or whatever, right?
And again, back to your point, it was something he didn't want to do. Like so he figured it out. He didn't want to do that. And it was like, let me just take this off my mind. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Sometimes you realize that your idea is not a good idea.
Right.
That there are better ideas in there in the world, but you have to surround yourself with people who can, shed the light on those things that exist. So I'm huge on that. I would do events. Events changed my life. If there is something that you need to learn more about, you better be on Google figuring out where that next live event is. And your tush, if I may say, I don't want to say ASS, well, your tush better be in that chair. Because you need to learn something to become phenomenal at what you do. If not, you're replaceable.
You are dropping some knowledge bombs today. And the funny thing is, the part that we have to get over is our ego. We have to get past our ego. We are not the best at everything we do.
Ego is not your amigo.
We are not so you have to find these other people that, and again, your vibe attracts your tribe, right? Like I am so blessed with the people that I get to be around, like you, Tina, Kurt, right? All these people that I get to just hang out with, like that is this ecosystem that is absolutely incredible. That's why people are like, would you go somewhere else? I'm like, well, if everybody left, then yes. But other than that, I'm done, right? Like I'm not going nowhere. But I think that's part of it though, is like your vibe attracts your tribe, and being around the most important people. But again, then figuring out what you want to do with this, right? Figuring out what you're good at with it and going from there. Because a lot of times what we do is we start to grab and say, I want to do social media like Gogo, and I want to do luxury like Tina, and I want to build a team like Kurt. And it's like, well, I can't do all three of those things. Not at that level, right? Like I can't do all three of those things at that high of a level. It's impossible. Not one person can do those things. Now, could I pay for it? Probably, but do I have the money to do it? Right? There comes the other piece. I could pay to have it done, right? I could pay, and again, but now what's my ROI? Am I tracking my numbers to know that I'm spending money in the right spot to make sure that my ROI is working? And again, it goes back to creating a business plan and a business, and what's my ROI and where's my money going?
Your hourly rate. I think that is so important to know every time that you work how much money you make. And for the listeners, if you don't know how to calculate that, if you don't know your hourly rate, take the money you made this year, all of it. I don't care where it come from, not after taxes, not after expenses, all the money that came in and ever hit your bank account this year. Divided by 2080. If you work a healthy 40 hours, of course, none of us do, but let's thrive to work healthy 40 hours, then you are going to divide it by 2080, and whatever number is looking at you right now, that is your hourly rate. Anything that doesn't make you that money in that hour needs to be hired out. If not, you're going to hit a personal ceiling and you will not make more money because it's physically impossible, because there's only one of you and there's only 24 hours. So in order to take yourself to the next level, you must, there's no ifs or buts, you must leverage everything else out that is making you less money. That's what's looking you right there. So for example, let's say your hourly rate looking at you right now is $200 an hour. Should you be checking your emails? Should you be vacuuming your house? Should you be grocery shopping? I haven't grocery shopped in probably 6 years. I haven't cleaned my house in probably 6 years. And I walk my dog because I enjoy it. But other than that, I wouldn't. I don't do anything that it doesn't make me the money. And anybody on my team, my husband or our house assistant, house manager, will tell you, my first thing out of my mouth when they ask me to do something, it is not my job.
Love it.
It didn't go so well at the very first time I said it, but Dwayne looked at me like, what the did you say to me? It's pretty much how, but I could read my husband. We may have
yeah.
Right? But in order for this madness to work, I have to stay in my lane. Could I go make that quick phone call and talk to the appraiser to get the cost segregation back to blah, blah? Yeah, I could. It's not my job. My job is to make the money so then we could pay for the cost segregation engineering study, whatever that's called.
Right.
It's not my job to follow up with them. My job is to make the money for that and make the money to buy the real estate. So we need the cost segregation. Right. It's really my job, right? So I think in order to honor, you have to honor yourself where you're at. You have to go learn what you don't know. You have to hire out things that is not worth your time and it's not making you money. Then there are certain things. So let's talk about that leveraging super quick. There are going to be things on your plate that we do just because we always done it. If you actually look at it, is it actually making you money? You're going to realize some haven't made you money in years and you just do it because you always done it. And then some things it's making you money, but it's below your hourly rate. So it still needs to get hired out. So is email making me money? Yes. Am I actually checking my emails and writing every email of the 4,441,675 you sent this year? Not one. I haven't.
So, yep. And so let me just for clarity purpose for everybody that's listening. That doesn't mean that I just get to sit down on the couch all day, though, right?
Oh yeah. No. You make in the hour. So let's say at any given time, I have 17 people working for me in that hour. So I'm not sitting poolside sipping mimosas, guys. I'm staying in my lane. I'm on this podcast. Can I have Mandy, our house manager, sit on this podcast? No, I can't. Can I have Alejandra, my executive assistant, sit on this podcast? No, I can't. This is my lane. This is my job. I'm doing this while everybody else is doing their job in the background. I'm not sitting poolside sipping mimosas. I am staying in my lane and making the most amount of money I can in that hour. I'm doing an activity that nobody else can do for me. Because trust me, if somebody else could do this job for me, I would have hired it out. So there are going to be certain things that you will never do again because it is number one, it is not making you money. B, it might be making you money, but you hate it. Let it go because it's going to hurt. I love my other saying is that when you make money, like when you get to the bank, you're like, I can't believe people are paying me for this. Like that's what it should feel like making money. You should be like, I can't believe someone cut a check for this. If it feels like work, I want nothing to do with it. So I'm not doing it. I don't care how much money it would make me. If it feels like work, I am not doing it. There's nothing in my life that I don't love doing. And by the time I even not even in the morning to wake up, I put my head on the pillow. I'm so excited for tomorrow.
It's incredible. It's incredible. Again, the time and effort it took to get there.
Oh gosh, a lot of lessons. But that's what I mean. It's so important to go to events. It's so important to read books. It's so important to have coaches. I hired another coach last year. So I hired an SEO coach. And then I hired a second coach for kind of like neuro-linguistic programming. It's like NLP that it's called, right? We speak the way we speak. It's just like I speak this way. This is how my brain works, right? But when you start doing sales, and especially when you do sales online, there has to be like some sort of an empathy. I don't have that. Naturally. I'm like, you have a problem, fix it. Here's the solution.
Yep.
But some people just want to talk about their problems and they want you to understand their problems. And then when you understand their problems, and you tell them that you've been there too, and then you tell them that you have a solution to the problem, that you've been there where they are now, then they're going to buy it. I don't have that. Naturally, I don't have that. I'm like, I'm a dude. I have a problem. Let's fix it. What's the solution? Who do I know? 1-800, who do I know? Right? And so I hired someone to help us when we're putting our content out there to the world to be a little bit more empathetic. Because I don't have that. And I don't want, the truth is, could I learn it? Yes. I don't want that. I have no need in that type of language in my life, right? So I don't necessarily want to learn the skill, but I'm paying for somebody else who has the skill because I know it's important for sales. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm huge on learning more on the skills that you actually want to learn, hire out the ones that you don't want to learn, and definitely hire out things that no longer making you the money, or they still need to get done. Like, for example, your taxes. It's not going to make you money, but it has to get done.
Right.
That's somebody else's job. Your job is to make the money. Their job is to take care of the taxes.
Yep.
Bookkeeping and the receipts and all of those things. So that's my two things. And then also, I think you need to learn, besides just getting really good at your job, one of the things that I realized, nobody teaches what to do with money.
That is a problem.
That's like a whole other, I feel like I spent the last 3-4 years of my life literally researching what to do with money. And then I was mad at my parents. Why didn't they teach me? I'm mad at teachers and professors. Why did they don't teach us in school? Because they haven't done it either.
Right.
If they would have made millions, they wouldn't be a teacher.
Oh, that is so. It's true, and Kurt brought up this really good point the other day. He said, I have a productivity coach, right? The productivity coach, but your productivity coach makes 50 grand a year. Like, that's not helping me at all, right? Like, that's not helping me one bit. Because how is he supposed to show me how to do this better?
How can they show you how to make million? My first question to my CPA when I hired him: are you a millionaire? Most CPAs are not millionaires. And if they're not millionaires, do you think they really know the tax loopholes? Do you think they really care or understand how that works? No. They don't have the need for that knowledge. Most people make an average of what, 67,000 US household income, and they get a 3% raise, but what inflation is higher. So did they really get a raise? No, they didn't. They made less money than the year before. Hopefully you can hear me. I see that you're changing your mics. I'll wait until you can come back. How about now? Can you hear me now?
I needed to hire somebody to plug in that laptop.
See, it is not worth your time. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yep.
So everything that you do, please don't ever take advice from someone who hasn't been there where you want to go.
That is probably the biggest, truest statement ever on this show, right? Because we and like you said earlier, like, well, both of us came in the industry at the same time, and we're both still struggling and kind of doing our thing. But I'm going to ask him how to sell more houses. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
I love it. Or when they hold like the whole accountability partners and stuff like that, I'm like, how can you rise to the next level if you keep hanging out with the person who's your level or below?
Can't. That's the reason why, like, you have to get in these rooms with other people. Like you said, going to events. I brought this up at Build when we had Build here this year, and I said, if one of these speakers that you watched, if you go to an event, a Build, or if you get to go to an EXPCon or something, and you get to see these amazing speakers, and one of them says something that resonates with you, that like, just, oh man, that hit me, and I feel that. I said, go find him after and talk to him. And you'd be amazed at how many conversations you can have with people just in the hallway about, and then just the connection you make then, right? Like, then it's like, well, can you jump on a Zoom with me, right? What the heck? I'm going to ask, because whatever that speaker said resonated with me and stuck with me for a reason.
There's a reason. Yeah, you're supposed to do something about that. It's talking to you.
Yep. Somebody over here on your little shoulder is talking to you, right? He's right here.
And if you don't listen to the pebble, God's going to throw a brick.
Oh, I love it. And that's true. But again, that's a lot of times what we do too, is we go to the event and we watch the speaker, and then we leave. And we took notes. We got some cool notes, and we got some things written down. We don't implement any of it. Or the opposite things happen, and we try to implement all of it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's one of the things that gets lost. And again, it goes back to finding like a mentor, right? A mentor, a coach, pay for somebody, find somebody that's going to help you out that you can lean on and lean into. And I think that is the biggest piece of advice that we could ever give any agent. And whether you're brand new or struggling or doing well, could you do better?
Why do you think it is in the real estate industry that people they fight the idea of paying for knowledge?
I think some of it is because there's so many coaches, right? I think there's so many coaches out there that that again, they'll go after for the wrong reason, right? They'll try to get it free because everybody wants everything for free.
Okay. Right? So let me ask you this question then.
Yeah.
There are a lot of coaches out there, but what percentage of realtors do you feel like actually pay for one?
1%. And that's the 1% that is actually, that probably don't even need it, right? That's the 1%ers that don't even need it are the ones paying for the coaches.
Isn't it like, it blows my mind though? So I don't care how many coaches are out there in the world. It really doesn't matter. What matters, how many people actually use that service? How many people pay to learn? And I think paying to learn is so important, because I learned this lesson in a hard way. I gave my Gogo's Bootcamp, social media and agent attraction course for free to the Team Gogo agents. I also made millions of dollars with both of those coaching programs. I don't know if I can show you now, but I have 3 Two Comma Club awards here on the wall next to me. which
Okay.
means each of these funnels that we have built, that we start a coaching program or a boot camp or something, has sold over 7 digits, right? You know, about 75% never even opened it.
I totally believe it.
Not the ones who pay. The ones who pay, they open it, they go through it, they're skin in the game, skin in the game.
Yep.
The ones who got it for free, many of them never even opened it. Because people, for whatever reason, they correlate free means zero value.
Yep.
It must not have value if it was free. That's why you have to pay for it, because your brain, trust me, when you cut that $3,000 check for that hour of conversation with someone, you're gonna show up. You're gonna move your calendar. You're gonna have a notebook. You're gonna be in a quiet place. You're gonna be so prepared. You're gonna be fucking 15 minutes early. Excuse my French. And after you got off that call, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, they gave me all of this, and now I have all of this homework, and I need to do this, I need to do that, and what a great idea. And you actually going to go do it just because you had skin in the game.
Yep.
If that same person gave you an hour free of their time, it's like, oh, I got a flat tire. Jessica invited me to that free lunch. I should probably go do that. Same person, same training, same information. You have no skin in the game. When you spend your hard-earned money on something is when you're going to give it value.
100%. And again, it goes back. It's that 1% that is the one doing it. That, again, they don't technically need it, right? But they want it. They crave it. They want more, right? Like you just said you paid for 2 coaches last year, right?
Yeah.
And two different pieces of business.
Thousands
right?
of dollars, months and months and months and months. I still pay for one of them. One of them was a 6-month contract. We built everything, the SEO coach, everything is ready. I had A-rated websites. They work amazingly. It's good. There's no need to continue. The other one, the speaking one, since I don't actually want to learn it. I just want to use the right words in the right order at the right time, right? I just wanted to pay for her time and services.
Yeah.
So that's an ongoing coaching, thousands of dollars a month, and I just got the check every time. Thank you.
Yeah, and what they help too, like what coaches help with, is what people don't understand either is like those blind spots, right? That we have in our business that will sneak up on us and bite us faster than we think, because those blind spots are what kills our business. It's like I'm running and just doing this, and I'm just laser focused on what I'm doing, but there's something coming around the corner and I don't see it coming, and that's when business really trips up. And that's what
opportunities too. How many times we said no to something that we didn't truly understand until someone explained it to us in a way that we're like, oh, light bulb went off, right?
Yeah.
But that blind spot, we are all designed to see the world the way we are designed to see the world, period. In order to see it differently, you have to see it through somebody else's eyes. You're not going to be able to do it through your own.
Nope. Yep. And again, it's that, again, the top 1%. And if you want to be in the top 1%, you can be. There's room every day. There's room every day in there to get in there. You just
have to do 99%. You just have to do the work that 99% is not willing.
Yep. And you have, like, and again, everybody says but again, it's just the accountability. It's the planning. How do I do this? Because we don't know how to do it. We assume we do, but you know what assuming does, right?
It's an ESS out of you and me.
But yeah, so I think that is the part of the biggest thing that people just don't understand, is that coaches, how important a good coach is. And again, there's levels to coaches. Now, I was just talking to a financial coach that I'm working on trying to figure something out with him, because again, finances, I need to know what do I do with it? I don't know, like, where do I put it? I don't know what to do with it.
I remember when I started making money, I'm like, who am I going to go to? My parents? No. My best friends? No. Like, who am I? It's not like I'm surrounded by multi-millionaires in my everyday life. My everyday friends are everyday people.
Yeah. So
that means I have to pay for people who are on that level so I can learn from them. Right? And it's the best way of learning. But I spent the last 3 years trying to figure that out. And I mean, I can't even tell you, Jimmy, the lessons I learned, and I don't know about you, but I love learning.
You have to. I mean, with what we do, normally just on a daily basis, right? I'm still running just my team of 10 agents, right? So I'm just running and ripping every day. I'm fully back in production, right? So I'm like, I have a closing tomorrow. But it's true. It's like just figuring out, like, what do I need to do? And so if I have to learn this business, then I have to learn how to grow the business, right? And my whole focus for 2025 is growth, right? Like that's My whole focus, everything I did at EXPCon, every event I went to, every speaker I saw was about growth, right? And that's
Mine is teach.
I love it. So we'll reverse then. You can do the growth. You can do the teaching part. I can do the growing part.
I have done all the chasing. In the last few years, that's all I've done is a new idea, build it, new idea, build it, new idea, build it. And then after it's built, grow it, and then continuously grow it, because maintaining is not an option for me. Maintaining, you're dying, right?
Yeah. Yep.
It's just soaring. It's this is how we're going. We're not going here to go here ever. We're going here, or I'm not doing it, right?
Yep.
But I woke up, or I went to this last Tony Robbins event, I should say, and I was like, I'm good. Not I don't want to say I'm good in a sense of like there's nothing ever that I'm going to chase ever again. But I feel like I have chased and I have built so many things in the last few years that finally the fruit of that allows me not to have to chase anymore. Now, if I come up with another great idea, I'm absolutely still going to do it. So I narrowed it down to the 4 things that I want to do in this upcoming year. So Team Gogo, right? The Gogo podcast. The Go Get 'em community is probably my number 1 to continue growing that. And my circle. So I do the coaching in a circle. These are the only 4 things I'm going to be doing in this upcoming year. If it doesn't fall into any of these 4 categories, I'm not doing it. So now I feel like what I need to be doing next is to help the next generation of the people who are in that growth phase, because I've been there, done that. I built the systems, the funnels, the website, the processes, you name it, the AI, the chat GPTs, the VAs, you name it, I have it. And that's where I want to take the Go Get 'em community, where I can change thousands of lives.
I love it. And where can everybody find you? Like that's the big part. I mean, I know Instagram, right?
I mean, Gogo's real estate on Instagram, but if you want to be a part, if you want to become a go-getter, like literally I created it with the idea of people who are already making some money, but they need systems, they need processes, they need help, they need mindset, they need money and finances and investments and anything. You remember I told you like the last 4 years, I literally spent on what to do with money. How to make more of it, how to work less for it, how to build a team, how you name it, anything that I have done, I teach inside of the Go Get 'em community. But what I learned, and this is one part that we have not, we mentioned it for a little bit, but we haven't actually emphasized on it. And I want to emphasize, I used to think that knowledge is what got me to the next level. There's an extra step to that. It's implementing the knowledge.
So true.
I feel like most people will show up to every training and they're at every event and you see them all the time. And then you wonder, why are they not like at that level? Like they should have ate that information by now, because they don't actually take action. Nothing works unless you do.
Love it. Nothing works unless you do.
So that's where the Go Get 'em community at first was just knowledge. And I was like, oh, we have a problem. It's implementing that knowledge. Everyone needs help with. So I actually said borrow my team, or lend, I guess, my team. So anyone who's a go-getter, you guys can go to gogetemcommunity.com and check it out, feel free. But anyone who becomes a go-getter actually has access to my team. And they have 2 live calls with my team, and my team helped me build everything. Anything from the podcast to the funnels, to the email automated drip campaigns, to the chat GPT that sounds exactly like me, to the investments, and anything you can think of, they do for me, right? And so this way my team can help them, or if they have a team, help their team to set up these systems that we teach inside the Go Get 'em community. So it's not just teaching you what you need to do, but actually help you set it up. Most of the time, like especially if you have my personality, I will start setting up something and then I get stuck and then get so freaking frustrated. I just want to whip the computer out in the window. And then it actually never gets done, because I don't actually have what it takes. I don't have attention to detail. I don't have patience. I wanted it yesterday. Today is already too late. So because of that, I need help. And that's where implementing the knowledge is, I think, is the most important part to it. So yes, showing up and learning something you didn't know yesterday, but then implementing that. And if you guys want to learn more about it, is the gogetemcommunity.com.
The gogetemcommunity.com. And if you're listening to this, go to the gogetemcommunity.com right now. That's going
everything.
Yeah, I'll be in there.
And then the circle would be the next level. But in the circle, that's one-on-one, well, kind of one-on-one coaching with me. I take 20 people who already make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to make 7 digits plus consistently and still have a life. But that's months and months of contract. So that's a 6-month commitment. I only have 2 seats now. When these 2 seats are filled, then I only have seats if somebody leaves.
Okay.
Would be, you can just go to my page, gogobethke.com, and click on the circle, and you can check out how that works. But that would be direct coaching with me.
I love it. And now it's going to be spending time on the beach drinking mimosas at some point, right?
I hope so. I want to cook and play house and spend time with my family and my kids and my friends. I want to go home to Romania. I want to go to EXPCon Europe. I want to go to Italy for 3 weeks this summer. So I just want to I dreamt about all of these things and I want to do, and I was so busy and I just couldn't do it. So this year is the year when I'm like, I'm going to do it.
I love that so much. Well, thank you for joining me. This hour always goes faster than you think it is, right? And, when you first look down, you're like, man, 10 minutes in, but now we're an hour in. So I appreciate your time for sure and for joining me on the Elite Real Estate Podcast. Gogo, thank you very much.
Thank you.
GoGet'emCommunity.com. I appreciate you. We will talk to you all soon.
Thank you, guys. Go get them. You can have anything in life.